Hey y'all, how are you doing? I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. It's me, Kim, and I'm back for another video. This is a patron/members only video. I am really conscientious of the fact that I love to only film with natural light, and I have about 40 minutes of natural light left, so I'm gonna try to get through this expediently, okay? So, in the last podcast, I talked about the fact that though I really do believe in the redemptive power of sisterhood, I know for a fact that when I was at the lowest points of my life that having really good Black girlfriends saved me. They reached out to me, they understood me, like they were really my lifeline. That's an important story to tell. And I think that that is the common narrative when we are talking about Black girl magic and Black womanhood and protect Black women and all that, like we have to stand together. But I realized in a conversation that I had maybe about a week ago that that's not the full story, because I've had horrible, devastating, like foundationally, shakingly bad experiences with Black girls and young Black women. And maybe we are glossing over that kind of stuff because we want to reinforce the narrative of redemptive sisterhood, find a sister, find a community. And I think that the other part of it, the flip side of it, is just as important. It's important for us to underscore that, one, just because somebody's a Black woman or a Black girl don't mean she's gonna be your friend. It does not mean that she's gonna be on your side. And that is okay, right? Like, you're not going to be able to find sisterhood and respite in like every single Black woman out in the world. Like, that's normal. We are human beings. But also, having those really negative experiences forced me to look inward and forced me to reflect on how I move through the world. And it really has colored my relationships, especially with other Black women as a 31-year-old. This story that I'm about to tell happened 8 or 9 years ago, early 20s. I was maybe 21, 22. So, it's been a minute. But it is so funny because not until I had that conversation did this pop into my mind. So I am going to say, I have notes because I have to have notes. We're not trying to be sloppy out here. So I'm occasionally going to be glancing over here at my notes. Okay, let's get into it. You guys, I love to do this. I love talking to the camera. There's something wrong with me. Okay, let's get into it. So from the time I was a little kid, I had one or two close Black girlfriends. These girls, we often had similar backgrounds, similar ways of speaking, similar interests, and we often found ourselves not welcome in the larger group of Black kids. Like, we were like super not cool, you know? I spent my daytimes in the white world, so lived in the white world, predominantly white suburbs of Dallas, and then we moved to Oklahoma City and, did the extracurriculars, but then all of my leisure time was in the Black world. So my mom was so freaking religious. She had her children in church. So we were in church 3 and 4 times a week, and then we would go to an NAACP meeting, and then she was in the National Society of Black Engineers. So then we would go to those meetings, and we would go to the conferences, right? So we spent a lot of our downtime with Black folks, and I really knew, it's like I wasn't like something was a little off, But I really wanted to be down, but the harder you try to be down, like the less it works. That was me, So me and my 1 or 2 other Black girls who got it, we stuck together. But I have to say that despite the fact that that marks a lot of my interactions, with Black folks, Black children, because Black adults love me. I gotta be honest. Black adults always loved me, right? Because I was just a little nerd girl. We've talked about this. I'm definitely not a woe is me person about it. Just not. I recognize that I had a lot of privileges, and maybe I moved through the world like a person who had a lot of privileges, right? So that's not really a comment on them. It's a comment on everybody in this situation, not just them, right? And anyways, my life turned out great. So what am I gonna be mad about? And I'll say that I might have a different take on feeling excluded by a lot of Black folks when not all, but a lot of Black children, and I have to say, because it was kids, I probably would have a different take on it if I didn't go off to college and have incredible experiences with peers and adults. And if I haven't had such amazing experiences with Black women as a full-grown adult, right? So I see the self-hating Negroes and I'm like, something happened to you. You're hurting, right? Like you need to work. You gotta do some work, right? Because I get it. I know, but you have to move past that because now the rest of us are suffering because some Black kids teased you. Let's fast forward to when I failed out of college. So y'all know the story, watch the video. I was at home for 2 years and I didn't just work, I also became very religious, like a borderline zealot, because I needed an anchor for my soul, and the only thing that I knew was to become really religious. And I separated from my mom's church, the church that I grew up in, and I decided to join another church where my cousin went to because I knew that there were a lot of young adults there. And so I dove headfirst into it because I needed a community, you know, like I didn't have a really strong community in high school. So when I had to move back, I literally had to build a community for fun and partying and all of that, like from scratch, right? So I decided to go where my cousin was, who just got married, by the way. Shout out to him. And I dove headfirst into the young adult ministry. And it was young people, almost, I want to say 18 to like late 20s or whatever. And just, you know, corny Bible shit. You know, no offense if you're into that. But now that I look back on it, it was like, and we did the young adult ministry stuff, but we went to church together and then we partied together, like hardcore. We were deep into it. And it was like, we would go out all together Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then go to church together on Sunday morning. Like there were times when, you know, with this group of people, this is in Oklahoma City, where I would literally maybe get home from the club, sleep for 2 hours, and then go to church with my hair smelling like weed, you know what I'm saying, at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Like that was our thing. And we were a crew. And I was so excited to finally be like a part of the cool group, right? Like finally being able to have people accept me and embrace me and like go out and just have fun. And I also, another thing I really appreciated about being in that group was I didn't have to be overachiever Kim. You know, at that time, I wasn't overachiever Kim. I was college dropout Kim, you know what I'm saying? And I do think that my ability to merge into that group, to meld into that group, a lot of it, I will say, was about the fact that maybe I was not carrying myself like overachiever Kim, like haughtiness, you know? And they were not viewing me as, oh, there she go, you know, like she thinks she, you know, cause she is smart, she makes A's, like, no, like we're all on the same level here, because at that time, and maybe I'll talk about this, that time I was working multiple minimum wage, terrible jobs. I don't know if I've ever made a video about the time that I spent working the worst kinds of, like literally making $7 an hour, like horrible, right? But you know, like humbled, like the most humbled. Okay. So, I loved it and had so much friends, and there were different kinds. So I'm still friends with one of the girls from that group, and she was getting her PhD and now she's a doctor. And we had the same birthday. We had so much in common. Like I'm still friends with her, but the rest of them, we kind of lost touch, right? All right, so there was that girl, Kim, also named Kim, right? And she was not really a part of the party girls. When I dropped out of college, I didn't drop out, but I kind of dropped out. Y'all watch the video. Okay. What I really wanted to do was have a normal young adult experience for the first time in my life. I didn't party in high school. I kind of partied in college, but Harvard is not party school. Like, you know, I wanted to wild out, okay? I wanted to get blackout drunk. I don't smoke or whatever, but I just wanted to like party and have fun and stay up all night and just like be crazy. So I deeply invested in that. So I found, the churchy party clique and I went with them. Okay. And so there was a group of girls who kind of allowed me in, and then we were like, you know how often there is a girl group and then an adjacent boy group, y'all watch Grease, right? Where it's like the pink ladies and the T-birds. That's what we were like the churchy pink ladies and the churchy T-birds, right? And so I was welcomed into the churchy pink ladies. This is so absurd, but this is my life. This really happened. Okay. So I'm in it. We are going to the club. I don't have nothing at this. I don't have anything. I'm working terrible jobs. I don't have a car because I totaled the car my mom gave me. So in order to even go out on the weekends, I'm begging my mama to let me drive her car. And she's like, whose kid is this? I know that at that time my mom was like, now I know I didn't do all this for you to be like that. But I just needed a break. So we would go out and stay out all night. I mean, there were multiple times when I literally had maybe $22 in my bank account, and then you would get to the club and withdraw that $20 bill, and then you had a $1.50 transaction fee. And so after you get out the club, you only have 50 cents left in your bank account. That was me, but I was living it up. Okay. So a part of the churchy pink ladies, Erin and Olivia, who were sisters, who were just gorgeous, statuesque, so model-esque. And then there was another girl, Sherelle, who was also really, really pretty. And my cousin was a part of the adjacent group. And so me, Erin, Olivia, Sherelle, I would go to Erin's house because she was a little bit older. We would get ready. We would go to the clubs together. Let me insert some pictures because this was a time in my life. Y'all can see for yourself. Look at the pictures. I was a part of this group and I felt so good because I was like, yes, I'm finally cool and we're having fun. But I will say, even at that time, I did feel a bit of insecurity, I did kind of feel sometimes like, do I really fit in? Do they really like me? Sometimes I did get that, the feeling where it's like you are in a group, but you're kind of still on the outside. People would make jokes and it's like, am I the butt of this joke? Am I in on the joke or am I the joke? Occasionally I would get that feeling, but I would suppress it because what other options did I have? My high school friend, my one or two black girlfriends from high school were in college. I didn't have them. I had to get with these people if I wanted to have any kind of social life. I didn't know how to find a community outside of that, And so I would get these uneasy feelings, but I would just ignore them. You know what? Let me go back and underscore this point about church because church is complicated for me. On one hand, it is a site of enormous comfort. And on the other hand, I do have a lot of trauma around it. I remember after I went off to college, a woman who had 2 children and her kids were kind of on the outside the way that I was on the outside, And she actually sent me an email when I was in college because she wanted me to give her some advice about maybe how to get her kids into Harvard or what she needed to do to prep her kids. And in the email, she said, I hate how those St. John brats treated you. St. John's the name of the church, those little St. John brats were so mean and cruel to you. I always noticed it and I always questioned why nobody ever stepped in. And it was so affirming to hear her name it, because I knew that I was being treated differently, but I had internalized that it was completely my fault, right? I just wasn't doing things right, or, I'm just not cool, or, I'm weird or whatever. But to hear her say that I was mistreated and that it wasn't my fault, or it wasn't at least completely my fault, and that, you know, adults could see it. Okay, so that's a part of that. And college was so transformative for me because I was finally able to be Black and cool, you know, because everybody was my kind of, you know, we are all performing our identities all the time. And so we're performing gender, we're performing race, we're performing cool, we're performing, you know, all this stuff. And to find so many other people who were doing what I do and who genuinely embraced me and like lifted me up, and we laughed together and we cried together. Like, yeah, I've already talked about this, but yes, it was such a big deal for me. So I'm back in Oklahoma, and I've had this experience of being Black and cool, and that has boosted my confidence, my racial confidence, right? And I feel like, oh, I have the opportunity to be Black and cool in Oklahoma for the first time. So I jumped into it with Erin, Olivia, and Sherelle, and the churchy T-Birds. We're not gonna name them because they're not important to the story. So I was wild, I was broke, I was drunk driving. Don't do that, but I did do that. I do not recommend it because it was so dangerous. And I was just regular, just Kim, you know? Kim who works at the mall. At that time, I was also dating. Now, dating, we're gonna do this, right? I was sleeping with a man who had all kinds of issues, but he was fine, okay? He had issues, but he was attractive, okay? But he was also the worst person in the world, a Scorpio. And he texted me once a week, and he had a child and all that. And he was also churchy, right? So that's where we met. And so we were going back and forth all the time and talking on the phone and all this, and, you know, just having horrible sex and whatever. And one day after an argument, he says to me, you know, those girls that you think are your friend, you should probably reevaluate it because they're not your friend. And I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And he said, well, after you left the party, Sherelle said, there's a girl who comes around who thinks she's pretty, but she's not. And she needs to know that you need to be pretty to be in this group. Like, she needs to leave us alone. That's what he said that Sherelle said about me. And he's telling the story and giving me all kinds of details because my instinct is to be like, is this real? But he was saying it so genuinely, you know, and giving so much detail about it that eventually I was like, no, like, this is a real thing that happened. And she said this in front of all of these people that I wanted to accept me and whom I wanted them to think that I was cool. And I just desperately needed that aspiration. Like, this was my lifeline, you know, in Oklahoma. I didn't have anybody else. And after he finished telling me about what she had said, and I asked, okay, so what did everybody else say? And nobody else defended me. And he said that he spoke up to defend me. I don't know if he did. I don't know, but I don't know. But by the time he finished telling me that story, I was bawling. I remember it so clearly. I was laying in my bed in the guest room because my mom had converted my room when I went to college into the guest room. So it wasn't even really my room for real. It was just the room that I was staying in while I was kicked out of college. I was laying in bed and just bawling because this was my biggest fear. You know, all of my insecurities came to light. All of my fears about I'm not doing it right. I'm not performing right. They don't really like me. They are laughing at me. All of that stuff from childhood came back up. And I knew that I couldn't hang out with them anymore. Okay, so after Floyd tells me, you know, that Sherelle is going around telling people she's lucky to even be around us, she needs to quit, like, she knows that she's not cute, and she knows that she's not fun or funny, she knows that she can't dress, you know. So after I learned that Sherelle, who I thought I was at least building a budding friendship with. Like, I genuinely thought that even if we weren't the closest, like, I knew that I had a closer relationship with Erin and Olivia. Like, they were just sweeter and warmer. I at least thought the time that I was spending with Sherelle, she at least, I don't know, kind of like cared, but she didn't. She didn't, you know? And then what the other thing that complicates that story is Sherelle is Kim's cousin, and I'm still cool with Kim, so I had to kind of separate from the other Kim too. After that happened, I knew I could not hang out with them again, and all of that stuff, you know, the fear just crept up and spilled out, and I was so lonely. And I remember this was wintertime, and you know, I already have seasonal affective disorder anyway, so I was so lonely and I was so depressed. And I think I even wrote a couple of articles on the For Harriet website about this. Let me see if I can find those articles so that I can link them for y'all, because I'm sure that they are pitiful. Just talking about how lonely and sad I am and how hurt I was by other Black girls, other Black women. It was really, really one of the worst times in my life, you know. 2020 has been really bad. It has, you know, it's really let me down in myriad ways, but this is not the worst year of my life. Not by far, okay? I've had some way worse years. And that one was definitely, I want to say that was 2011. 2011, early 2012, hands down, the worst period of my life. Just depressed, and I didn't see a way out, and living in my mama's house, and y'all know I definitely didn't get along with my mom then. We're better now because we have some separation, but it was really bad, really bad. Then I am experiencing this alienation from those girls. And then at the same time, I'm having to see my real friends prepare for their final semester in college, doing all of the jubilant, jovial, happy, celebratory, we're done college stuff, and everybody preparing for the next phase of their lives and getting jobs and getting into grad school. And here I am in Oklahoma. I don't have no friends. I don't have a way out. There's no pathway. I'm literally working minimum wage jobs, like so isolated. I felt like I was on such an island. So bad, in fact, that my mom threatened to send me to a mental institution because I was so depressed. Now, was that the correct thing for her to do? No, it was not. I still am upset about that. It was extremely horrible and unkind and fucked up. But I'm just saying that to say I was in a bad place. But here's what I will say about that. As devastating as it was, that is a turning point for me because I was too complacent in Oklahoma. I was too settled. I was trying to be a party girl. What the fuck is a party girl in Oklahoma City? We only had at that time like one club, maybe 1.5 clubs, you know? Like, what the fuck was I even trying to do? And so foundationally, I am at my core an ambitious person. You know, I want to do things. I want more. And when I realized that the path that I was going down was not going to be sustainable, I said, okay, let's correct. Let's get back on the right path so that I can be happy and be fulfilled. And so I did. I found a different job that was going to be able to get me back to school. I started going to therapy so that I could go back to school. I started investing more in the relationships with people who I knew were not talking shit behind my back. And I think most importantly for this conversation, I dedicated all of my time, all the time that I was spending at one point trying to spend $20 in the club on Saturday, I invested that time into For Harriet because I knew that this was gonna be it, you know, like this was gonna, and I will also say a part of that focus, and this is not healthy, I will say, but a part of me redirecting my energy and focusing was, I'm gonna show them, okay, fine, I'm not pretty enough to be in your group, like you don't want me, like you're laughing at me, you think I can't dress, which is a fucking lie, by the way. I have good taste, okay? You think I can't dress, that's fine, I'm gonna show you. Like, living well is the best revenge. Success is the best revenge. So I'm gonna be successful and you're gonna be here doing whatever the fuck that you're doing. And that was it. And again, probably not the healthiest mindset, but it did help me get up out of there. It did, okay? Winning out of spite is still winning. You know, like, I gotta be honest with you. I have to be honest. Sherelle is a mom now, and I don't know what she's doing because I'm not Facebook friends with her. Aaron and Olivia are both parents, and they still like my posts on Instagram. I don't know if we're Facebook friends anymore because people don't really be on Facebook anymore. But I have no beef with either of them. They were so sweet and kind and open to me. I did get it together to go back to school. Y'all know the story. That's why I'm here. I just realized that the microwave light has been blinking for these last 30-something minutes. Sorry. But I learned a lot from that situation, from being super, super churchy for a couple of years. I learned a lot from having to work those horrible jobs. And I never mentioned this to them, why I decided to stop hanging out with them. I never really told them the story because there's no part of me that thinks that that didn't happen. There's no part of me that thinks that Floyd made it up. I'm sure it did happen. I'm sure that nobody defended me or said I was cool or, So, and I learned that, look, we say the adage all the time, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. I do think that's it's kind of reductive, like it's more complicated than that. It's more nuanced than that. But I do know for sure that people not liking you is not always about things that you've done. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are not meant to be friends with everybody. Like there are many Black women that I don't want to be in community with. Like I don't need to be your best friend. You're not coming to my parties. I don't want to go to your parties. It's fine. My politic is, even if I don't fuck with you, okay, even if you can't be up in my space, I still want the best for you. I don't want you to suffer. What I can offer every Black woman is empathy. Just because I don't fuck with you, just because you can't come to my party and I'm not trying to go to your party and I'm not buying your books and I'm not liking your Instagram pictures, just because that is the case does not mean that I want you to have to endure violence, sexist, misogynistic, class-based violence. Like, I don't want that for you. I want you to be over there while you're not enduring misogynoir. You can't come over, you can't sit with me. Okay, I don't need that. Because some people just have horrible, nasty, fucked up energy. Like I said in a video for BookTube, right? I don't know if this made it into the actual video, but something I said is that we fetishize this idea of unity. Like there's ever been a time where every Black person in the world was on the same page and we hold hands and sing Kumbaya and we never have disagreements. It's not true and it's not realistic. So let's be honest about our humanity. And humanity means that there's lots of different kinds of people and we will experience conflicts and we will clash and we can live great lives and go our separate ways. And even looking back on the, she's not pretty enough to be our friends thing, I'm not even mad at Sherelle about that, because I recognize that, I've said this over and over again, that for a lot of women, the thing that they have is beauty. And beauty produces hierarchies, and that's the hierarchy that she was invested in. And by the way, Sherelle was a beautiful girl. I don't know about today. I haven't seen her Facebook. I don't know. But that's the other thing, right? When you invest in beauty, right, it's a diminishing asset. So I don't know how Sherelle looks now. She might not be sitting atop the beauty hierarchy anymore. She might not be able to talk that shit. Let me look it up. I'm gonna look. But it's not her fault. I mean, it's her fault for being a shitty person. But she didn't create that system. She didn't create that hierarchy. And we're all just trying to situate ourselves within these different sorts of hierarchies to make our lives more comfortable, to feel powerful. And I've done that. Beauty wasn't the hierarchy for me, but I've definitely done it with class. I've done it with elitism, right? And so as much as it's fuck her, I also have to look inwardly and say, okay, but have you, Kim? Have you ever been a Sherelle? Yeah. In a different way, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do think that I've had to really think about how am I reproducing inequality? How am I reproducing elitism and exclusion? How am I marginalizing other people? Now, the thing about it is, I am team no new friends. Everybody knows this. I'm not interested in making no new friends. It's, after, I will say, this is like a trauma that I feel. I definitely insulate myself a lot. So I love my college friends. They are my soulmates. I would do anything for them. We hop on the Zoom once a week. I will say that situation, I probably still bear some scars from that because I'm not deeply invested in making new friends. You know, I did the Black Girls Gather events. The sun is setting, so I have to wrap this up. I did the Black Girls Gather events, and I had so much fun for that year and like 2 months or whatever, traveling across the country, having these events with Black women, meeting y'all, hugging y'all, talking to y'all, like chopping it up. And after so many of those events, people would be like, let's hang out, let's keep in touch, let's be friends. And I'd just be like, no new friend, I don't trust it. And now that I can look back on that experience, absolutely, that's a part of it. I don't know if I can trust extending myself, you know? Making new friends is a lot of work and it's a lot of risk. And I definitely feel gun shy. Yeah, I'm definitely, I'll admit it. Yeah, I'm afraid, you know? So yeah, that's that. And the other thing is, reflecting back on that experience, it does connect to why I'm so interested in this idea of beauty and breaking it down and breaking down these hierarchies, deconstructing them, like exploring them, because I don't know if enough attention has been paid to Black women's interactions with beauty and beauty hierarchies and beauty standards, right? There are so many books and YouTube videos and podcasts or whatever that talk about white women and their relationships to their bodies and beauty and, you know, blondness and thinness and all of that. There just is not enough exploration, thoughtful, rigorous exploration of Black women and our relationship to beauty and beauty standards and structural inequality that beauty reproduces. So that does also, you know, that does influence my desire to explore that. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. Find some Black women, love on them, but don't feel compelled to have to fake it with every Black woman, because I do not, okay? Love y'all, want the best for y'all, but we probably not gonna be friends. Maybe I need to work on that. I'm going to bring this up with my therapist, and so hopefully we can work through this, because I am recognizing that maybe this is not the healthiest. Okay, but the sun is setting, so I have to go. Thank you guys so much for being patrons. Thank you for being members. I will talk to you next time. Bye.